Mike Owens with Inside Fighting here. Today I have the pleasure to be joined by Vitor Belfort, one of the legends of mixed martial arts. Vitor, great to sit down and chat for the first time. How are things with you today?
It's a joy. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm ready for you. I'm all yours.
I love it. I caught up with a friend of yours, Gregory Robocop Rodriguez, ahead of his fight with Christian Leroy Duncan, and he was telling me a story of he cornered you when you fought in Manchester at UFC 204, and 100
Mm.
pay-per-views later he was fighting in Manchester. How close or involved are you with the guys at Killcliff FC? Are you still part of the gym?
Yeah, I think I'm in a time of my life where I'm like some people have a different roles,
Mm.
and I mean I think it's the role that I have, the experience that I have. I don't need a lot of time with people, but when I have interaction with them, I can give them something that no coach can give.
Mm.
It's hard to explain, but like it's called like a mentorship. A mentor and a coach, they have different types of layer of coaches. They have these coaches that have to be in the gym 24 hours coaching. They have coaches that develop the new generation. They have
Mm.
coaches that are, all sort of coaches. I like all of them, but I'm the I'm a type of coach where like Tom Brady for football, Ray Lewis for football. I think I'm one of the guys that have so much experience. When I have interaction with fighters, I always see the greatness in them. So I like to give them something that is hard to get from someone else that never went on their way. So I went on the way they're going. I know exactly how it is to fight in the big stage, and I know how complex it is MMA because it's so much um, different styles. You have to have a wrestling coach, a boxing coach, a training coach, a yoga coach. They have all sort of things. Some fighters have seven types of people, and today everybody wants to be on TV and be associated with a champion. So my thing is called less is more, and be able to do what you have to do it, because at the end of the day, availability is the best ability,
Mm.
and a lot of things you do in your body is hard to regain. So when I have interaction with them, and with Gregory, I mentor Gregory, so it's very easy. He listens, he follows, and he does. So I like to give them what they need, but also longevity. In the end of the day, fighters are not looking to perform at their best, but I want them to be available.
Mm.
And availability, it's something that is so hard to have today because people are injuries, people have to pull fights, or they have to fight with broke things, with injuries. The camp is the hardest part. So if they can have a very good camp, that's show that you're going to have a great fight. But at the end of the day, it's be available for
Yeah.
what's coming next.
Where are you at with fighting? I mean, do you consider yourself a retired fighter at this moment in time, or is a comeback fight possible? I have to ask.
That is never retirement. When you're alive, you always have to live the life. You have
Mm.
to live. So, today I did some great investments, so I don't have to fight to make a living, but I like to do things, and I like to go I say I like to do business that have a way of bringing a connection with the fans. And I think I have I have so much to give. I don't say MMA because I don't want to. I think you have to be full of love with the sports. MMA is hard for me to go back, but as you know, boxing, and I call it the BMA, boxing martial arts, where I
Mm.
developed these gloves where, I challenge many boxers to come box with me where I can grab. I think that's something that is going to be very much the future of combat sport when we bring these two worlds together in a rules that benefit both sports. That's something that I'm really looking forward to do some fun fights.
Does the outcome or the winner of the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight later this year interest you? And how do you see that fight playing out if and when it does happen?
I would love to do it, but both guys didn't want to fight me for sure. But I would love to fight the winner. But I mean, unfortunately, I wish they can have a great fight, but they're not a they are not a they don't have the courage to bring that fight. I think that would be a great fight to put it together, but I think none of them wanted to risk their how they can call their career or their legacy. I'm in a stage of my life. For me to step up and fight someone has to make sense for me, for the fans. I think the fans would love to see that, but at the end of the day, Jake Paul fight who wants to him to fight. He's making the decision, and I mean, and we see what will be. But I mean, I can promise you, I think that fight is not going to happen.
I Before we jumped on today and over the weekend, I spent some time on YouTube and UFC Fight Pass watching back on your old fights and what a legendary career it was. Is there a fight that you look at in your prime that didn't happen that you kind of look at as the one that maybe got away from you?
Oh, I mean, I think I fought everybody,
Mm,
like I fought everyone. It's hard to name, one fight that I didn't fought. I think I never fought Rampage. I think who more? I think from my area, Fedor. I never fought
mm,
Fedor. We're supposed to fight. I think that's the only two guys that I never fought. But I fought the greatest of all time. But if I can point to one fight that really would interest me today,
mm,
Tyson Furie's brother. I would love to fight him on these gloves where he'll be able to grab. I'll be able to grab him, get a hold of him. I always wanted to bring what's next, the
mm,
vision of combat sport. It's boxing is a great thing, but if we can bring a sport where you can bring the best of both sports in one rules, I think people have the fight of their lives. And I think that's what I'm looking for to present to the combat sport fans all over the world. And today is very before, in my career, I have to kind of pave the way, not just in my country, but in Brazil, in
mm.
France, in Canada, in England. So I think I have recognition, name enough, but the problem is just a lot of people they don't want to risk what they have. People are very afraid of risk what they have instead of looking to the future and see as an investment. So you always see as an opportunity. The future of combat sport is bringing MMA and boxing and one rules together, where fans all over the sports is almost like bringing a second layer of a sport.
Mm. Has the Tommy Fury fight ever been discussed, and what interests you about that so much?
Because the story of the Fury family. I really have so much respect for this family. Coming from the father to Tyson and Tommy. Tommy is a great athlete. He defeat Jake Paul, and of course he's much younger than me. But I mean that would be a honor for me. Is like for me, I'm in a stage of my life. I don't want to compete with someone that I don't admire or I don't see a level of how can we make this something that we can bring to the masses of
Mm.
generations. You know, Tommy is in a generation when he born, I was a world champion. By the time, what year he born? Do you know what year?
I think it was 1997. I think.
So 1996, I was world champion. So imagine 1 year before he was coming to this earth, he's still in heaven. I was a world champion. So be able to compete with a guy like him, one of the best boxers of all time. And I wanted to put this sport, my dream is to put this sport together where, we'll be able to fight in the rules that combine MMA, and just in the sense of where I'm not gonna elbow, I'm not gonna punch, I'm not gonna do anything besides punching, but I will be able to grab him on a clinch and
Mm.
punch him on a clinch, called the dirty boxing. At least give me a little edge, because the boxing is that's his sport, you know. And I think it's like I said, take one person to say yes, so we can becomes the biggest history fights in years from today. He would be a guy that I would love to have honored to step on the ring and do something like that.
I love it. You were talking a couple of minutes ago about paving the way for the sport in Brazil or for combat sports in Brazil. And when you were competing was such a golden age, when I think back to yourself and Vanderlei and Anderson and even people like Jose Aldo doing their thing in the WEC at that time. But then we've also got this modern wave of Brazilian greats with Alex Pereira, Charles Oliveira, Gilbert Burns is another one that comes to mind. So is Brazilian MMA at this moment in time, do you think it's a stronger or a weaker position than when you were competing?
As I like to see it as an evolution,
Mm,
and I can see huge evolution. The fighters of today, even Gregory, Pereira, Jose Aldo, it's kind of almost like he came much after me, so I consider him the next generation.
true.
You can see the evolution of these fighters. They just get better. I'm very glad to be, I remember when I saw a video of me boxing when I was like 18, and I said, man, how bad I was comparing to what the fighters at this age are today, because we are putting the martial arts together. I was one of the first that they came out of jiu-jitsu and come with the hands. So look like fighters right now, like when they're 13, 14, they're already doing everything.
Mm,
But the key factor that what we have an advantage of ourselves, we are the we open the sea, like we have to kind of we pave the way. That means we have experience in the level that where if I can put my head in Gregory's head, it's not fair,
mm,
because of course the evolution of Pereira, for example, it's so much, they are so much ahead of our time. So I always say, what is the key of football? You get the head of these legendary coaches and put in the head of this, you know, Bill Belichick with Tom
mm.
Brady. So that's the idea. But for sure, this new generation is so much ahead of us. That's no doubt about it.
Do you think it's easier or more difficult to compete in MMA now to when you were competing?
Comparing is something so hard. It was so
Of
hard
course.
back then. It
Mm,
was so hard back then because everything was so new. We are with the challenges are different. Today you have more options. It's easy to make a career. You lose, you can go back. Before you lose, you maybe never had a chance again.
mm,
And when you lose a fight, you never had a chance to go back. So it's like you had only one chance and you have to make the best out of it. Today, you have so many chances. So many guys, they lose, they come back, they reinvent themselves because we see, we pave the way. Like I said to you, we pave a way. Now it's very easy to put their infrastructures in the city. Before, it was it's like a swamp. And now they have a city. They already have a sport. They have ESPN behind them. I wish in my time I had ESPN behind my fights.
mm.
But like I said, I'm so happy for this generation. The only thing that concerns me the most is the way they train. I see in these gyms, I go, I visit. I think a lot of fighters, they don't have the idea. Everything evolved, but the only thing that didn't evolve much is the way they train, the loads, amount of loads. They
Mm,
don't know how many times, what are the right amount of sparring, what is the
mm,
right amount of wrestling, what is, so it's like almost like what is the quantity of loads. So what I say loads, I think your body can only take this much. So 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 it's like a compound effect. If I
Yes.
give you too much loads, you're going to compress your immune system. You're going to be sustainable for injury. So I'm very concerned when I go to see them train and I see the way they warm up, the cool down, they don't stretch enough. They don't do things that they should be doing. And a lot of athletes, I'm talking about how elite athletes, they just kind of chit chatting, or they don't have a specific way of training that I think they shouldn't do it in a way like for example, people do two times a week sparring.
Mm.
They don't know what technical sparring, tactical, technical sparring, technical, tactical sparring, school of combat. It's a lot of way of you can improve your skills, but not getting damage in your head.
Mm.
So when you get damage, it's hard to recover. So in a 8 weeks camps, 6 weeks camps, 4 weeks camps, 2 weeks camps, and they are when they are off, they eat whatever they want, they drink whatever they want. They don't know how to take care of their body as a as a as a business. So the business side, they don't understand of what they're doing look like they're doing forever, because
Mm.
you never think, oh, this is going to end one day. You look
Mm.
like you are 21 for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of young athletes getting caught up of, okay, how can I get my game to the next level? And I feel like there's not a lot of people that can give them that. And I
Mm.
mean, this is what I see, the big gap where they can become in a much better place versus where they are. Maybe they're happy, but I mean, they don't see what I see.
Mm.
I see potential. When I see potential, I know where this is supposed to be here, but they are happy right here. But the reason why, even their coaches, they don't know what's here because their coaches never arrive here.
Yeah.
So I think the sport, everything evolved, but the only thing that evolved is the way they prepare themselves. I
Mm.
see a lot of guys trying, everybody's trying to figure it out, but they're like, they never call me. Hey, Victor, can you sit down? I want to hire you as a consulting. I'm
Mm.
going to start my camp and I need your consulting. Can you give me what do you think about this, that? So you got to be humble. You got to be understanding that some people pave the way to be. And that's what I always had in my life. It's how can I be humble enough to learn and to grow? And I still today, how can I grow? I ask questions. And I feel like a lot of these guys, they don't, they're gonna look back and say, I wish I could. And
Mm.
and now we're here. Why are you asking this question? Why you don't asking these questions? Why still when you go to see this training, the way they train is so it's not right. I'm saying they're doing a lot of things right, but doesn't mean like look like everybody's doing this. It's like copying each other. No
Mm.
one is trying to create something different,
Yeah.
like they difference themselves. Besides, some guys they do camps, solo camps. They do their own camps. Like I believe Steve Miocic, you
Mm.
know, it's one of the guys that really like even Jon Jones. They now the fighters are learning on the end of a career. I need to do something different than just that. So, but they wait too long to start doing this.
Mm.
And now I would love to kind of to bring a revolution. Is you got to start doing this when you're young.
Mm.
You don't have to wait to become that pro.
Mm.
If you know what I'm saying.
No, 100%. I completely agree. We mentioned Alex Pereira a little bit earlier, and I have to ask you about him because what he has done in such a short time has been fantastic. I mean, I was at UFC 300 where he knocked out Jamal Hill, and I was speaking to somebody after the fight, and they told me that they feel like he's a modern version of you. He's almost Vitor Belfort 2.0, which I thought was an interesting comparison. My question to you is, do you see any similarities between yourself and Powhatan, and what have you made of of his
I
of
see,
his
like I
rise.
said, Poatan is in a totally different level.
Mm,
He's like he will be a 3.0 of Vitor Belfort, no doubt about it. I would not say 2 point, I would say 3.0. And I said because he always evolve.
mm,
And I even himself, I can see so much potential on that kid. There's so much potential. But look like in the short version, but he went through a lot. People don't know
mm,
why he did something so special. And I think everybody should, if you've done that, he became a professional before he became a professional in UFC. So
mm,
he came from a pro mind. He was an athlete, he was a champion. He conquered an area that it's much easier for a striker to become a grappler than a grappler to become a striker.
mm,
So if you can say, Victor, paint me the perfect scenario. If I get this world champion wrestler and I teach him striking, it's going to be very hard because striking is the hardest part. The grappling, if you learn, if you have a way of just stuffing a takedown but I mean, one thing it is, Poatan, if you fight someone like Jon Jones, someone that is a very nasty grappler, so if it is a grinder, that would not be a good fight for Poatan.
mm,
Poatan would lose because he doesn't have that capacity he has the capacity to stuff the takedown, but if he gets someone that really is a grinder and knows how to take the fight to the next level, like Khabib on that
yeah.
division,
Mm,
that would be a very ugly fight for him. But that would be his kryptonite. Everybody has your kryptonite, but his strength is he's so powerful. He has so much confidence, and he has a way of striking people like the deadly. It's like how
mm,
you beat speed, how you beat power. It's hard to stop.
mm,
So that's why he's so devastating because his kryptonite is not on the striking, is in the grinding,
mm,
is the Randy Couture type of guy that can defeat him in a sense of not engaging in the on the striking. So remember, fighting is matchup. The matchup for him now, every matchup is benefiting him.
mm,
And he is picking the matchup right. And a lot of people fear him. And when you fear your opponent, when I say fear, is not it's not that you don't fear in the sense like I think I cannot take him out. They just go there to make a fight.
yeah.
I feel like a lot of his opponents are just going there to get a paycheck. They don't believe they can beat him.
Mm,
And believing is very important. When you fight someone, you gotta believe you can beat your opponent, even though he's better than you. But the belief part is it's so important because a lot of guys they just go all there because it's an opportunity to be in a title fight.
mm,
And looking back in my career, it's you can only fight when you believe you can win,
mm,
not just fight to fight. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
No, 100% agree. Last question from me, Vitor, and thank you so much for your time. We've mentioned Jon Jones a couple of times in this interview. He's scheduled to face Stipe Miocic at UFC 309, but I think everybody wants to see the fight against Tom Aspinall, the interim champion. My question to you is, do you think we see Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall in the future should he defeat Stipe at UFC 309?
If I can give an advice for Jon Jones is don't fight him. There is nothing to gain from that fight for Jon Jones.
Mm,
Jon Jones is going to have the greatest career. Let's say if he beats Miocic, that I think is going to be very hard. I love Jon Jones, and I think he has an amazing career. But a lot of people think he's going to go he's bigger than Stipe Miocic. He's not bigger. He's not stronger, and his striking is not better than Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic is a great boxer. He can wrestle and he can grapple. A lot of people maybe putting, Aspinall, like, Aspinall is a different beast. He's so young, and I mean, he's the new generation, very dangerous, very explosive, very athletic. I don't think, unless Jon Jones is going to make millions of dollars, but I mean, if I'm Jon Jones, I will give him, why are you fighting him?
mm,
If you win, cut it out. Go retire. Be the best guy of all time. Thinking about he would be Tom Brady of MMA.
Mm,
But I mean, he never lost. Thinking about Jon Jones never lost. I was the guy who got the closest to beat him, but I mean, like almost is not done.
mm,
I always tell my kids, almost is never done.
mm,
I don't want to be almost. I want to make sure I'm done. I make things done. So I made a mistake, in that fight, but also I gotta give props to Jon Jones, for a fraction of a second, you let it go and you have pity on just I should just take that arm back to my house. But it was like for some reason I was not fully commit. And when you're not fully commit to rip it off or take it apart, I was for a fraction of a second, but not to take his heart. He had a heart to stay there. He was willing to lose his arm,
mm.
but not losing the fight, and he got the win on that night. And a lesson that I have to learn in my life is like sometimes you got to be committed to do what you have to do it to be committed to the cause. So my advice for Johns is, I don't think he should take that fight. I don't think he doesn't. It's not gonna damage his legacy. No way, man. Jon Jones fought the greatest, fought the best. And now he's fighting the greatest of heavyweight of all time, Stipe Miocic. And I think it's gonna be a very hard fight for John. I know Stipe. I know his style. I know how good he's a boxer. His jabs are devastating, and I mean we have the Jon Jones legs. So it's gonna be a very interesting fight, but whoever is well prepared and whoever can set the game plan right it's gonna be a great night for who loves MMA. I think that's a fight that no one should lose that fight.
Yeah, no,
Every
I couldn't agree more. Vitor, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. When I was starting to follow this sport and cover this sport as a young boy, you were one of the guys who got me into it when you were on that fantastic run in the early 2010s when I would have been about a teenager. So thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to catching up with
Congrats,
you again soon.
congrats to you, man. You're doing an amazing job. What a great questions. You are such I wish every reporter should have your lead as how can you bring that type of content for the fans. And I think it's the story of MMA never been told the way it's supposed to be told. We have so much why we're here, where the people, what they're doing now, what they can do for the sport. I feel like in football, you have all these legendary people. They always involved with teams or with
Mm,
with broadcasting. I just feel like the sport they benefit some of them, but they're not even close for what we did. I'm not saying that every broadcaster not supposed to be there, but they're not even close of the storytelling. The fans they never heard of the stories of
mm,
Cam Newton. Cam Newton is one of the guys from Canada.
mm.
If I'm not mistaken, like so many other fighters that they did so great for the sport to be here today. So I hope one day the fans can understand who are these people. They lay the bricks for
Mm.
this next generation that is much better for sure. And we're looking forward to continue to see the growth of the sport.